So today we're going to be talking about a real interesting feature of Icelandic sheep and their fleece. So Icelandic sheep are commonly now raised for their fleece. They have many other wonderful features such as milk, meat, that sort of thing. A lot of people that get into wool sheep are doing it particularly because of the quality of the fleece. And we're going to shear Rasta here today and show you how Icelandic sheep actually rue their fleece. So when you're ruing your sheep fleece, what that means basically is that when the time is right, that fleece basically is going to just fall off. The sheep is essentially going to shed its fur. Now with Rasta here, we've actually been kind of trying to bide our time because here in Canada, it's not quite warm enough to be without hair yet. But now that we're into April, it's coming off. So we're going to show you how this works.
First job, he's an adult ram, is catching him.
Rasta is a very good boy, so you can go past that after. Oh, the problem is getting in the gate. I got it. Hey.
And it's that easy.
Oh, you're making this look too simple, buddy. Too easy. Hey, you're such a good fella. He loves attention, this one. Not all rams are created equal. Rasta actually is a new ram to us in the sense he was not born here. We did purchase him last fall. And one thing we did not know was that he was coming with the most amazing fleece ever.
For a ram.
For a ram. Oh, it's amazing even for a ewe. This is so soft and so lush and in the process of ruing.
This is one thing we do with all the sheep. You can obviously shear and whatnot.
Look at his tail just doing it.
He's enjoying it.
He's so itchy. This will be one thing when you know. Sorry, I interrupted you. You will know when they're ready because look at this. I'm scratching him and he
wants it off.
Super itchy. He's super excited about it, and I can pretty much get my hands underneath. Oh.
But we basically do just tie them up. So we find with the Icelandics, flipping them sometimes is more work than just leaving them standing. But anyways, we'll let you get to it.
All right, so you can see just by my kind of rubbing him and itching him,
it's coming off.
That is ruing. And what you're left with is going to be this gorgeous fleece. Now, it's not all going to come off. You can see when I get down here, it's getting to, I know, buddy, where it's pulling a little bit on him. It's not as ready to come off. He's not familiar with being tied up that much. So we are going to use the shears to cut that when we get down there. But essentially, oh, there you go. You're just taking your fingers, getting them under there. I'm not latching on and pulling. It's only whatever wants to come naturally. That's one thing about ruing. Don't do it before the fleece is actually ready because you will upset them. Because it does pull.
You're essentially using the brake.
But yes, this is called working with the brake of the wool. But you can see, beautiful, beautiful fleece coming off of him. That's the essential ruing process. We're going to get as much as we can off of him, and then we'll bring you back to show you how we work with the rest.
So it's only been literally a couple of minutes, and you've got his back pretty open and rued out nicely. The one thing about ruing, and Stephanie's doing this, not all Icelandic sheep will rue, and they won't all rue to the same degree. Some, like Rasta here, rue apparently very well. Others, the hair is a bit more attached, and it's kind of a bit of a primitive trait, or that's what it's called, because essentially in the wild, every year, sheep would lose their wool, right? You don't want all that heavy insulating wool year round, but many breeds have been selected over time to sort of lose that ability because the brake, while it can be an amazing thing, as we see here, I mean that's coming off really quick, The break is also a bit of a negative because if you don't get it at the right time, and this is where Rooing is a bit more forgiving because you're not getting second cuts and whatnot, but if you were shearing with shears, electric or otherwise, you can get second cuts or little end bits that aren't particularly amazing for actually using the wool later. So it's one of those sort of traits that depending on how you want to harvest your wool can either be a great feature and something to breed for, or could be a negative. But on a small scale, it's as you see here, this is going a lot faster than when we have to hand shear some of our ewes. And he seems to be enjoying it better than a lot of the ewes do.
He's like, please, just take it off. David. It's going to be a big bag of fleece. You're a fur beast.
The nice part too is you won't have any cut ends doing this, so hypothetically,
beautiful yarn fleece.
Yeah, and your next, the next round,
the fall shear
will end up technically even nicer. Now we didn't shear him in the fall.
Nope.
So.
But he had been shorn right before we bought him.
That's true.
So it was quite short when he came. Oh, we're getting almost done, bud.
I even got in on it, and in literally like less than a minute, I got this off them. So when they rue well, they really rue quite easily and quite well. And it is one of those things. I mean, it looks like Stephanie's really pulling here. It's not. And
it's a little tougher going when you get to where it's got the lanolin. Like you do have to. It's still broke, but it's easy, buddy. It's just a little bit tougher to. But you can see. I mean, you're barely pulling, and it just.
We've pretty much got his midsection exposed here. Now, before, as Stephanie's doing up around the neck and that, we will say with the Icelandics, there is a few body parts that they're not big on getting sheared, and that's the belly, and usually their butt. That's where, when we shear them standing like this, they tend to have the biggest issue. So we'll see if he kind of lets us
do
get
that
in
area.
and work in those areas. They usually don't mind the neck too much, but yeah, in around the udders and the back end and on the belly. And one thing with the Icelandics too, because even individuals who don't rue well will still eventually have a break. And we often do leave belly intact, and kind of by midsummer they usually have sort of blown that fleece out. And to be honest, belly fleece is not exactly
desirable,
fantastic or desirable. So I think you can sort of see from his facial expression and body language that this is not hurting. He's quite happy to have this off right now. So even though some of it isn't coming off as nice as other bits, he's not unhappy by this process. So, because realistically, you are pulling it off the sheep.
Yeah.
But
because it's got that bit of a break.
Yeah.
It's not actually.
It's not a whole lot different in some ways than brushing.
It's actually more pulling it from the hairs underneath than it is the skin. Like the hair, if I put my hand there,
Yeah.
I can pull pretty hard, and it's not pulling his skin at all. It's just, hey, separating from those other little hairs. We're getting somewhere.
Gonna look like a whole new sheep in a few minutes.
He's still big, though. Oh, you're untied.
As you can see, we basically have his whole back, both sides, most of his back end, although we were getting to the part that didn't really want to come off, and we've almost got his neck done. His belly is probably going to stay, because that will fall out over time.
Don't move, I'm leaning on you.
But he's been very good with this so far, and fairly patient with it, which is awesome. And like we were talking, we don't know exactly how long we've been, but from start to finish here, we probably aren't more than 20 minutes in.
Maybe.
25 maybe. That's probably overestimating. This has gone really quick. Well, we're pretty much getting to the end of what's going to rue here. There's this little bit under his chin, which you want to be a little careful because they'll feel that more. It's looking like all we're going to have is a little bit on his back legs and his butt. That,
I'm going to have to cut it. I can't get
don't
that.
come off. Oh, and that little bit there. So we'll show you what we ended up with off of him ruing and show you what he looks like to where we've been able to rue here. So there's the bag of rued fleece, which that's not too bad. That's a pretty good sized garbage bag. So I will show you here, even though we've been able to rue it, this is sort of fleece that's not really going to be very usable for much. It's either a little too matted, a little too dirty, that sort of thing. But you always have that with any fleece animal, that there's parts that are just not as usable. But when you look at what we are keeping, which is amazing, versus what we've discarded, it's still a lot of usable product. So there he is. We've pretty much got everything. There's that little bit here and a little bit on his butt that just won't rue out. So we are going to clip that off. Under his chin is still good fleece. What's on his butt, you can kind of see it's a little bit matted on the side there.
Maybe the stuff on the top might be keepable,
but the rest of it, not so much. But that is not bad at all for a very quick job. Tail's always a bit of a tough spot.
Wiggle his tail. Don't want to cut tail. Basically, all of this is not salvageable for use in...
No, this is taking it off for his comfort. Nice part with getting the mats off is even if you don't get it down to the break, those shorter hairs that...
they'll fall off eventually.
Yeah, exactly. They'll come out easier. So there he is. He is done. Now you can see on the back where we had a little bit of matting just from him laying down over the winter. They doesn't look as nice as the rest, but that will be fine in the end. He'll blow some of that out. So he's all done. Stephanie's just trying to get off a few last bits. And this is another example of a really good ram. And when you have really
Some
good...
animals are priceless. Hey, buddy. Well, it's starting to rain, so we managed to get his fleece off just in time, which was the goal for today, to not lose that gorgeous, gorgeous Morite gray fleece. But we're going to take it inside and
see what we ended up weighing with, or see what it ended up weighing.
Yes.
Now, one thing before we do that, we will say, obviously, we raise Icelandic sheep, and we're more knowledgeable about Icelandic sheep than other breeds. But there are other sort of quote-unquote more primitive breeds that do rue. A lot of the northern European breeds, the short-tailed breeds, do that, such as Shetlands, etc. But Icelandics are not the only ones. So if you're in an area where you can't get Icelandics, but you do want to look into a sheep breed that rues, there are some other options out there if you do a little bit of research.
we're back inside, and it's time to weigh Rasta's fleece and see just how much we have in this bag. So we have our scale ready with a big bowl. We're hoping this is going to work. We've not tried to weigh a bag this size in one shot before. We've got a bag in there to zero it, and we're going to give it a shot. Oh, 4 pounds, almost 2 ounces. So 4 pounds, 2 ounces is actually a lot of fleece, considering we skirt this as we take it off of him. So all of this is of spinning quality. So we're going to get this cleaned and see how much actual yarn we get from this. So through this video, you've seen the rooing process on Rasta. This is a great feature that you'll find in some of the primitive breeds of sheep. So if you get a chance and happen to notice that one of your sheep does this, it might be something to hang on to.